70-hour work week, frustrated employees. Nothing runs without you. And this despite reading books, attending seminars, conducting employee reviews. But the problem isn't where you think it is. In this video, I show you why most leadership initiatives fail in small and medium-sized companies, and where you really need to start. I'll introduce you to my 5-level model of entrepreneurial leadership, 4 typical mistakes that many entrepreneurs unconsciously make, and a diagnostic tool you can use to identify where you have the greatest potential for improvement. But why should you listen to me in the first place? Well, I'm an entrepreneur myself. I had my own startup, and during that time I made numerous mistakes. By the end of 2000, we were on the verge of bankruptcy, and I wouldn't have been able to pay the salaries of my 20 employees. Only with a lot of luck was I able to sell the company to a huge corporation just in time. And there I worked in middle management for nearly 9 years. Since 2009, I've run my own small business again and have been helping SME entrepreneurs break free from daily operations and lead their companies autonomously while developing them profitably. Last week I sat down with an entrepreneur, software development, 25 employees, 12 years in the market. He was completely frustrated. And I've tried everything. I conduct regular employee reviews. I've been to seminars. I've read books about delegation, but my people still constantly come to me with questions. Nothing runs without me, and the good people, they are quitting. I asked him a simple question. Can you explain to me in 3 sentences what your company stands for? Well, we do B2B software, custom solutions for our clients. For which clients? Well, for everyone who needs custom software solutions. That was exactly the problem. Most leadership problems in small and medium-sized enterprises aren't leadership problems at all. I keep seeing 3 typical patterns. The pattern 1, the overwhelmed founder. The company grows from 5 to 15 employees. Suddenly, nothing works anymore. The owner works 70 hours a week, is the bottleneck everywhere, and things still go wrong because these founders still working like a technical expert instead of like a business owner. Pattern 2, the failed digitalization. The company invests 5 figures in new automation and AI software. 6 months later, the chaos is bigger than before. Why? Because they digitized their broken processes. You can't digitize away analog chaos. Pattern 3, the unsellable business. A tax advisor turns 60 and wants to sell his practice with 7 employees. 3 potential buyers look at the practice and all walk away. Why? Because everything revolves around the owner. This practice only works as long as the owner shows up every day. Who wants to pay money for that? All these problems have a common cause. The founder haven't systematically built up the 5 levels of entrepreneurial leadership. That's why I developed the 5-level model. It's actually quite simple. There are 5 levels that every founder must address. The crucial point, you can't just skip a level. And more importantly, each level builds on the previous one. And that's why level 1 is the foundation. Let's look at level 1 in detail. The first level is self-leadership. And this is where most fail. Self-leadership means 3 things. Clarity about your own role. The central question here is, am I a technical expert? Or am I the founder, the entrepreneur, the business owner? Most founders are great technical experts. They know their craft, but as the company grows, they don't notice that their role has changed. They didn't set out to be the best programmer, the best coder, the best consultant, the best craftsman. They set out to lead a company, and that's a fundamental difference. A technical expert asks, how do I solve this technical problem? An entrepreneur asks, how do I build a system that solves problems, even when I'm not here? As long as you, as the owner, don't understand that your main job isn't the technical work, but building a functioning system, you'll stay on the hamster wheel. Clear principles. Many founders make decisions ad hoc. Today, one way, tomorrow, another, depending on their mood. This leads to two problems. You're constantly making decisions. Every little thing ends up with you. And second, your employees don't know where they stand. They can't anticipate how you'll decide. So they'd rather come to you before making a mistake. You're making your employees dependent on you instead of strengthening their autonomy. The solution here is clear principles. What rules do you use to make decisions? Example, we don't take a project under $10,000. Or the person closest to the problem makes the decision. Clear priorities. When everything is important, nothing is important. Most founders have an endless to-do list. Everything must be done. Everything is urgent. And at the end of the day, nothing has really moved forward. You need to ask yourself 3 questions. What do I do myself? Because only I can do it, or because it's strategically important. What do I delegate? Because others can do it better, or at least as well. And what do I leave out? Because it doesn't need to be done at all. Many entrepreneurs and many founders can't even answer the 3rd question. They can't leave anything out. Everything must be completed. And this leads to overload and mediocrity. The 2nd level is strategic positioning. This is where it gets uncomfortable, because most SMEs don't have one strategic positioning. I always ask 5 questions. First, what do you stand for? Most entrepreneurs and founders answer with their activity. We are an engineering firm. We do IT consulting. We are a construction company. That's not an answer. That describes what you do, not what you stand for. I'll give you an example. 2 bakeries. Both bake bread, but one stands for craft and tradition since 1920, and the other stands for modern, healthy, organic baked goods. Completely different positioning, completely different customers. What does your company stand for? Second, what's your offering? Now, many say, we offer everything the customer needs. That's the beginning of the end. When you offer everything, you're replaceable. The customer chooses you by price or availability, but not because you're the best. The best companies focus. They have a clear offering, and they consciously say no to everything else. Third, who do you work for? And who don't you work for? Everyone who can pay. This is wrong. The most successful SMEs have a clearly defined target group. They know exactly who they want to work with and who they don't. Because you can't be the best for everyone. If you try to please everyone, you become mediocre for all. I'll give you an example. An IT service provider who says, we only work with manufacturing companies that do custom or small batch production and have between 50 and 200 employees. That sounds limiting, and it is. But this IT service provider knows these production environments very well. They know exactly what problems these companies have. They have references from these industries and speak exactly the language of the target group. This allows them to charge higher prices because they are the specialists. They are the experts. Fourth, why should someone buy from you instead of elsewhere? If your answer is because we are good, because we are reliable, then you have no positioning. Everyone will say that. You need a clear reason why someone should come to you. And this reason must be connected to your positioning. And fifth, what don't you do? Successful companies define themselves not only by what they do, but by what they consciously don't do. Bad positioning would be, we are a full-service IT provider. We do everything from network installation to cloud migration. For individuals, small businesses, and corporations. Well, and the good positioning would look like this. We specialize in cloud migration for mid-sized manufacturing companies. We don't do network installations. We don't do IT support contracts. No projects under $50,000. Second positioning is limiting, but it creates clarity for the customer, for the employees, and for you. The third level is vision. And this is where it gets interesting. A vision is not, we want to grow and do good work. Everyone says that. That's not a vision. A good vision has 5 characteristic features. First, The vision must be emotionally charged. It must inspire. At least it must appeal to a certain type of person, exactly the one you want to reach. I want to be part of this. I think it's great to work for this company. Second, it provides direction, but not details. The vision is like a compass. It shows where north is, but it doesn't tell you which path to take. Third, it's a picture you paint to the future. Although it doesn't provide details, it's still unmistakable. Fourth, the vision is not time fixed. It has no deadline. Fifth, the vision is a desirable improvement of the current situation. A bad vision would be, we want to become the largest IT service provider in the region. And that's a goal, that's not a vision. A good vision would be something like, we want mid-sized manufacturing companies to work as agile as possible with modern cloud technology as large corporations, without having to build their own IT department. Do you feel the difference? The second vision tells a kind of a story. It explains what you're fighting for. It gives direction. And without that, you, just like also your employees, can't decide which steps move you forward and which don't. The fourth level is structure and processes. Many founders hate this topic. We are not a corporation. We don't need bureaucracy. But that's a misunderstanding. Structure answers three questions. First, what roles are needed? Many small companies don't have clear roles. Everyone does everything. Nobody is really responsible. That might work when you have 5 people. At 10 it becomes chaotic. At 15 it's unbearable. You need clear roles, not job descriptions with 20 tasks, but areas of responsibility. Someone is responsible for customer acquisition. Someone is responsible for project execution, and someone is responsible for quality assurance. Second, who decides what? The classic trap in small businesses. Everything ends up with the owner. Boss, how should we do this? Boss, which customers should we prioritize? Boss, what should I tell the supplier? You must define which decisions can employees make on their own, which must they discuss with you, and which do only you make. Which decisions do you want to be informed about? And then you must follow through. If an employee is allowed to make a decision, they must make it, even if you would have done it differently. Otherwise, your employees learn, don't decide anything. Better ask the boss first. Third, what processes must run for the company to function? Many founders say, of course we have processes. Yes, in the owner's head. That's the problem. When a process only exists in your head, nobody else can execute it. Then you're the bottleneck. You must document your core processes, not with 50-page manuals, but with clear step-by-step instructions. How does a customer project run? Inquiries come in. Who handles it? Proposal is created. By what criteria? Orders are accepted. Okay, who informs whom? A project is executed. Who does what by when? Acceptance and invoice. How does that work? If this process isn't clear, every project runs differently, depending on who's handling it, and this leads to quality problems, to stress, to errors. Only now, at level 5, do we come to classic employee leadership. And if levels 1 through 4 aren't in place, every effort at employee leadership is cosmetic. I'll give you an example. You want to give an employee more responsibility. Delegation. But you yourself have no clear role, level 1, so you still interfere everywhere. The company has no positioning, level 2. The employee doesn't know what they are taking responsibility for. There's no vision, level 3. Then the employee doesn't know what they are working towards. Roles are unclear, that's level 4. Then the employee doesn't really know what they can decide. Delegation doesn't work. Not because of the employee then, but because the foundations are missing. Now it gets really practical, because most founders make a classic mistake. They skip levels. This doesn't work. Never. I'll show you 4 typical patterns. Mistake number 1, jumping to level 5 without level 1. The owner tries to lead employees, but is themselves unstructured, emotionally unstable, or unclear in their priorities. Employees get contradictory signals. They lose trust. They don't take real responsibility because they don't know how the boss will decide tomorrow. Mistake 2, jumping to level 5 without level 4. Employees should work autonomously, but roles, the competencies, and processes are unclear. So what happens? Duplicate work and conflicts. I thought you were doing that. No, I thought you were doing that. Mistake number 3, jumping to level 3 without level 2. A vision is formulated, but strategic clarity in the market is missing. In 5 years, we will be market leaders. Market leaders? In which market? For which customers? Mistake 4, jumping to level 4 without level 2. Processes and structures are built without clarity about what the company actually stands for. You document processes for customer groups you shouldn't even be serving. You build structures for services that aren't profitable. Without strategic clarity, you waste energy. You know now all 5 levels, but where exactly is it stuck for you? Now I'll go through all 5 levels with you. For each level, I'll ask you 3 questions. We start with level 1. Do you have clarity about your role as a founder, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur? Are you working on the business or are you working in the business? Question number 2. What percentage of your time goes into operational technical work? Question 3. Do you have clear principles by which you make decisions? Can your employees predict how you will decide? If you're spending more than 50% of your time in operational technical work, you have a self-leadership problem. If your employees can't predict how you'll decide, you have a self-leadership problem. Level 2, strategic positioning. Can you explain in 3 sentences what your company stands for? Not what you do, but what you stand for. Question number 2, do you have a clear target group? Can you precisely describe who you work for and who you don't? Question number 3, do you also consciously say no to customers? Do you turn down orders that don't fit your positioning? If you take longer than 30 seconds on question 1, then you have no positioning. If you never say no to customers, sorry, then you have no positioning. Level 3, vision. Where do you want to be in 5 years? What will you stand for then? Question 2, can your employees recite the vision? If you don't know, ask them now, today. Question 3, do you make decisions based on this vision? Do you sometimes say, that doesn't fit with our vision? If your employees don't know the vision and can't recite it, then you don't have one. Level 4, structure. Do you have clear roles and responsibilities? Does everyone know what they are responsible for? Question 2, are your core processes documented? I mean, not in your head, but really documented, written down. Question 3, can the company function for 4 weeks without you? Honestly, can it? If the answer to question 3 is no, then you're still the bottleneck. Level 5, do your employees work autonomously or do they constantly come with questions to you? Do they come with solutions instead of questions? So do they say, I suggest we do it this way, or do they ask, how should we do this? Question 3, do they make decisions on their area of responsibility, or does everything end up with you? If the answer to all 3 questions is no, you probably haven't really solved levels 1 through 4. Look at your answers. Where are most of the no's? If you think your problem is my employees don't take responsibility, then your actual problem is probably at level 1, 2, or 4. And that's the problem with most founders. They haven't built a system. They are the system. If you want to know what this could look like specifically for your company and for yourself, write me an email. I'll offer you a free conversation in which we will look at your company. At which level is it stuck for you? What are the concrete next steps? And what could a collaboration look like with me? Thank you for watching and see you soon.